Okay, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take my Vaquero and I'm going to reproduce the test that I did on the other video. This time I've moved to a different location in the house to see if electrical magnetic interference is a factor in the depth on the Vaquero. So what I've done is I've set the Vaquero up at 10 in sensitivity. I'm in all metal. Pretty much the same settings as the previous video, and let's see if we get similar results. So I'm going to start with the Canadian penny. It's a copper penny, actually an older one in 1937. Oops, I would say that's diggable right about there. We'll go with our modern steel anodized penny. We'll dig that right about there. Let's go with a Canadian nickel. Yeah, I would say that's diggable right there. Here's a dime. Put that about 7.5. Now I'm going to take an old Canadian silver dime. Place that about the same. Here's a quarter. Put that right around 8 inches. A loonie. It's pretty repeatable, around 9 inches. And a toonie. It's faint but repeatable at about 9.5. Right now we got a couple of US coins we'll try. Here's a American copper penny. I would say it's pretty repeatable, right around 8 inches. US nickel. US dime. The US quarter. So it's pretty much the same. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll switch to some jewelry. I've got the same rings as on the other video. We'll start with the big 14 karat 8 gram gold ring. It's pretty repeatable there. You get the ladies' small gold ring. I place that about 8.5 inches. And the junk toy ring with the break in the back. I would say that's repeatable, under 6 inches. So there's the results. Again, that's all metal, sensitivity at 10. In a different environment in the house, there's the fluorescent lights overhead. And I would say compared to the results I had in the other video, that it does make a difference. We've got less depth here than we had in the results yesterday, where we were in all metal more like 9 and 10 inches as an average. So what I'll do is I'll be back and I'm going to put the disc back at 5 cents and we'll run these tests again, and then I'm going to put the small coil on and we'll see what kind of results we get. Okay, so what we have is the Vaquero. We're now in discrimination with the discriminator set at 5 cents. The threshold is around 2 o'clock and sensitivity 10. I'm in the same environment. I'm in the different part of the house. I got fluorescent lights directly overhead. We're going to see what kind of results we have now compared to the results that I had in the previous video. So we'll start out with the older Canadian penny. That's coming in strong at 7.5 inches. The modern penny. No, that's about the same. Put that at about 7.5. We'll go to a Canadian nickel. You can hear that sound, the crackling. That's on the edge of being discriminated out. So let me just turn that discriminator up just slightly, just a hair more. No, that's still a little bit different results. Yes, I'm not going to include that because I don't believe I would dig that, judging by the sound. So let's go directly then onto the Canadian dime. And we'll put that right on the 6-inch line. Quarter. It's pretty solid at about 7.5. Let's go to, let's try our silver Canadian dime. Put that a little bit better than the clad dime. Now we'll go to the loonie. I'm getting a good signal at 8 inches. About 8.5, the signal's getting a little bit of a pop to it. So I'm going to leave it at 8 and not go any deeper than that. The toonie. I would dig that toonie about 8.5. Okay, then let's go on to, we've got a couple US coins we'll try. Here's the penny. That would place that very close to our Canadian penny. I've got the US nickel, which is discriminated out. And let's try the US dime. Put that about 6.5. And the US quarter. That's pretty solid. Just a little under 7 inches. Alright, let's switch to jewelry. We've got the big gold ring. It's coming in solid right there. Small ladies ring is gone. So we would not be digging that. We would be missing small gold rings at this setting. And the junk ring. Junk ring is gone. Let me squeeze it closed and see. Nope, still gone. Okay, so that's the results with discrimination set at 5 cent, sensitivity 10, threshold at 2 o'clock. Compare those results to the results from the previous video, and I think you'll see that location in the house for doing air tests does make a difference. I'm getting slightly better results with discrimination than I got in the previous video, but a little less in depth in all metal than I got. It's not a huge difference, but there is a difference there. I'm going to now continue with another test. I'm going to put the small coil on, and we'll see what kind of depth that we get with that. So I'll be back. Okay, so here I am with the next test in this series. This is again the Vaquero. I'm in all metal with a barely audible threshold. Sensitivity 10. And we're going to try this experiment again with the 5.75 concentric coil. Again, I'm in the same environment with the fluorescent light overhead, and we'll see what kind of effect that has, although I don't have a comparison because I didn't do this test in a different part of the house. But we'll see what happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to start again with our older Canadian 1937 penny. 7. We'll go with our modern copper anodized penny. Bring that about the same. Grab the Canadian nickel. Well, that's pretty diggable. It's about 6.5. Dime. I put that right about 6. Canadian quarter. That's close to 7 on that one. Let's try the silver Canadian dime. Yeah, I would say it's a faint, but it's a repeatable signal. Just a shade under 7. Let's go to loonie. Well, that's pretty repeatable at 8 inches. I would dig that. And the toonie. It fades out at 9, but I would dig that a little bit over 8. Okay, let's try a couple of our American coins. The penny. The penny's pretty repeatable at 7. The nickel. And nickel's, I'm going to put that at around 7.5 or so. With American dime. I'll put that right next to ours. And American quarter. About 6.5 is a good signal. Now we'll move on to the jewelry, the big ring. Put that big ring a little over 8. That's diggable for sure. The small lady's gold ring. Put that a little bit under 8. And the junky toy ring. That's pretty repeatable, 5. Good, so that's the results with the 5.75 concentric coil on the Vaquero in all metal. I will return. We'll do the same test with discrimination set at 5 cents. We've got the Vaquero with the 5.75 concentric coil in place. This time our experiment will be with discrimination set at 5 cents. Thresholds at 2 o'clock, sensitivity at 10. And let's go through our same series of coins and we'll see what kind of results we get here. We'll start with the old Canadian copper penny. Well, it's loud and clear at 7 inches. The modern penny, Canadian penny. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's 8. I would put that just a hair over 7. Canadian nickel. Yeah, that's not diggable. I'd be missing those. Let's go with Canadian modern dime. Well, I'd say the 6 inches is the limit on that one. Canadian quarter. Well, put that at 7. Right on. Let's try the silver Canadian dime. It's going to be just a little, barely under 6. It was starting at 6. It started to get a little bit of a crack to the signal. So we'll say that that's the limit on that one. Let's go to the loonie. put that, not quite 8. And the tuning. Well, it's breaking up a little over it. I would say it was pretty solid right on 8. I think any farther than that it starts. Signal's breaking up. I probably wouldn't dig that. Okay, let's try a couple of our American coins here. The penny. I'll put that close to 7 inches. The nickel. As expected, that's been discriminated out. US dime. Drop that right at 6 inches. US quarter. That's not making 7 inches, but it's a little bit over 6. Okay, let's try our jewelry. Here is the big gold ring. Well, that sounded pretty good at 8 inches, but not much more than that. The small lady's gold ring. Gone. And the junk ring. For all intents and purposes, I'd say that's gone too. Okay, so there's the results with the 5.75 concentric coil on the Vaquero at 5 cent on the discriminator, 10 at sensitivity. I would say the depth for this air test in the house under fluorescent lighting with this coil is not much different than with the stock coil. In discrimination, all metal, yes, a little bit less, but with your discriminator set at 5 cent, it's not that much different. Okay, now I'm going to come back with another test, and I'm going to put the stock coil back on, and let's try it super tuned. It's what people seem to on the forums and videos like to compare the Vaquero with it super tuned, and we'll also do a quick experiment to see if it does make any difference in all metal. It shouldn't. Let's prove that. So I will be back. Okay, I'm back. I was going to, as mentioned, put the large coil on and test it super tuned. However, let's test it with the 5.75 concentric coil first, just to see what kind of results we get. I'm going to do this only in discrimination, not in all metal. We'll do all metal tests with the big coil. But as you can hear, it's chirping away. It's set pretty hot right now. The threshold is at max, sensitivity at max, and our discriminator is set at 5 cent, just like the previous test. Let's see what we get here. We'll start with our same series of coins. Here's the Canadian penny. That's pretty solid, 8.5. The modern Canadian penny. I'm going to say that's not bad, very, very close to 9 inches. The Canadian nickel. It's iffy. It's not quite discriminated out at this setting. To be honest with you, I would probably dig that at 8 inches. Let's go with the dime. That's pretty good at 8 inches. Quarter. Yeah, it's close to 10 inches in the quarter with the small coil. Let's try our loonie. It's not bad at 10. Any more than 10, it's starting to crackle and break up. I would probably not dig it. So I'll put that just a little under the 10, and let's try the tuning. I'll put that at about 10.5. Oh, Oh, we forgot our silver Canadian dime. Let's see how that sounds. I would say that's solid, just a little under 9. About there. Okay, a couple of US coins to test. A penny. That's any much more than about 8 3/4. That's starting to break up. US nickel. No, for all intents and purposes, that's gone. US dime. Not bad. A little over 8. And we'll try the US quarter. Drop that. About 9.5 or so. Okay, quick test with our gold jewelry. The big ring. Whoa, oops. Kind of skewed that result a little bit, but let's keep going. That's pretty good, around 10. If I remember correctly, that's where we were with that. Let's try the small gold ring. That's gone. And the junk ring. Yeah, that's not consistent enough to dig. So there we have. That's super tuned with the 5.75 concentric coil on the Vaquero. I would say those results are not bad. It's some pretty good depth out of a small coil. Again, inside the house under fluorescent lighting, so that is going to be a factor. I would expect slightly better results out in the field. All right, let's put the big coil back on, super tune it, and see what we get there. What I'm going to do now is I put the 9x8 concentric coil, the stock coil, back onto the Vaquero, and I'm going to prove or disprove whether setting the sensitivity to max in all metal makes any kind of difference. It's not truly super tuned because the threshold is not cranked to the stop. It's at a barely audible threshold where I could just hear it. So let's see what happens. I'm going to just do one coin. We're not going to go through all of them. Maybe I'll do a coin and a ring, and we'll see what kind of difference it makes. So here we'll start with a nickel. Okay, so I would say that nickel is pretty diggable around 7.5 or so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the sensitivity back to 10. And let's pick that nickel up. Remember where it is, a little over 7. Let's try it again. Okay, it's right back to the same place. So I'm going to say that that's not making much of a difference. Well, no difference, actually. Let's try it with a ring. Let's get that out of the way. Let's try this big glow ring. We'll set the sensitivity all the way back up to the top again. Or to the stop, I should say. And let's see where that falls in. It's pretty consistent, right around 9 inches. I can hear it past 9, but it's faint. It's a possibility that might not dig it. At 9, I definitely would. Let's turn the sensitivity down. We'll set it at 10. Let's try that again. Same place, no difference. Now let's take it one step farther. Let's turn the sensitivity down more. Let's put it at 5. See what happens. Same place. So I was saying all metal, whether your sensitivity is at 5 or your sensitivity is cranked to the stop, you're not going to get much of a difference. Let's see where the nickel falls in. I've got the sensitivity still at 5. There. Now if you recall, that's where it was with sensitivity cranked to the stop, and what people like to refer to as super tuned, sort of. So I would say that we've proven that crank that sensitivity to the stop in all metal doesn't have any effect on the Vaquero. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually truly super tune it by turning the discrimination up and the threshold to the stop and sensitivity to the stop. So we'll click it in. I'm going to go back to my 5 cent that I've been using for the other experiments. And we're going to go sensitivity and threshold crank to the stop. Okay, so now I'm super tuning. So at this point, we're going to go through all of our targets. And we're going to see what kind of depth we're getting here. And then we can refer back to the previous tests and see what kind of a difference it made. So here we'll start with the old 1937 Canadian penny. Well, it's breaking up past 10, but it's definitely solid at 10. We'll take the steel copper anodized Canadian penny. It's a little iffy any past 10. Let's take our nickel. Now notice, that's interesting. The nickel breaks up close to the coil, but as it gets farther away, it's actually a repeatable signal at around 9 inches. I would say that that's still super tune has not been discriminated out, so we'll keep that there. Let's go with our Canadian dime, modern dime. You know, that started breaking up right about there. I wouldn't dig it any past there. Go with our quarter. Quarter sounding good at 10.5, not so good at 11. Let's go with our loonie. I'm going to say the loonie's sounding good at just a tad over 11, but definitely breaking up at 11.5. So we'll put it right there. Toonie. Say tuning is a good repeatable signal right on 11 inches. Oh, we have our old Canadian dime, silver dime. It's sounding repeatable at 8 inches. Okay, now we've got a few American coins we'll try before we go into our rings. Here's the penny. It's falling in right about there. Should mention that is a copper penny, it's not zinc. American nickel. Gone. A dime, New the American dime. It's not bad, right around 9 inches. And the American quarter. Now that's losing it at 9.5, but it's sounding good at 9. Okay, now let's try our rings that we have. We got our big gold ring. That's sounding pretty good. Just a little bit, almost 10, not quite, right about there. The lady's small gold ring is gone. And the toy ring. Yeah, it's even at 2 inches. It's not the kind of signal I would dig. Just out of curiosity, let's squeeze it together. Yeah, at 8 inches. That was joined probably at 7 inches, but unjoined, just the way it is, it's not going to be a viable target at these settings. Okay, so there we have it. That's super tuned. Air test under fluorescent lights, so that's a factor. Those are the kind of depths that I'm getting on my variety of coins. So I guess that's about it. That's, again, like I mentioned, I think I can get better results out in the field, in soil, without the EMI interference. But it is what it is. So all these tests being equal, I guess we could see the difference between the different coils and super tune and non-super tune. Thanks for watching.